All right, and get started. Hello, welcome to Citation Management 101 Zotero. Today we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, Zotero. And we're going to I have a short slideshow of just like what Zotero is, how it can kind of help, and then majority of the workshop will actually be a live demo of how Zotero works on my computer. I have a PC. It works a little differently on Macs, but we can talk about that if any issues arise, if any of you are Mac users. And then I'm happy to kind of give you my contact information, things after today, if you're wanting to get started and have some more specific questions. So like I said, first we're going to start with a short slideshow. And I'm actually going to turn off my camera because sometimes that saves bandwidth. But I'm here. Hello, I'm a human. All right, so what is Zotero? So Zotero is a free citation management tool. And what it does is it automatically senses research that you're looking at on the web, and it saves it into a personal database with one click. So it's a program, but it also is a browser extension that allows you to save anything you're looking at on the web into a database. Using that database, you can then instantly create parenthetical references. Sometimes those are called in-text references or citations, and bibliographies using Word or Google Docs. And Zotero, commonly we use it to cite an MLA style or APA style, but it actually supports over 10,000 different citation styles. And I can show you all the citation styles that it has. If I can go to the next slide, there we go. Zotero also syncs across multiple devices. So if let's say you're using it on a Georgia State computer, but you also want to use it on a personal computer, there are ways for you to sync that program across multiple devices. It has group libraries, so if you work with other professors or you work with other colleagues in class or anything like that, you can actually have group libraries where you all share the same resources. And it's an open source product and operated by a nonprofit organization, so it doesn't really collect data for financial purposes or anything like that. So it's a pretty great product created for and by academics. They just really needed a tool. It was actually originally created by historians, and so it's a nonprofit and they're not interested in your personal data to operate. It's compatible with other citation management tools. So if you are an EndNote user or you use anything like another product that helps you with citations, there are ways you can import and export between different programs. The reason I make this note is because recently the funding for EndNote at Georgia State changed. We actually were at risk of losing it for a little bit. So we wanted to show that if you are an EndNote user and maybe the funding model will change or we lose EndNote, you can import those libraries into Zotero. And like we said, Zotero is free and it should exist for perpetuity, so you should be able to use it for a long time. I'm happy to show, if anybody here is an EndNote user, I'm happy to give you some documentation and stuff today if you want to convert between the two different programs. Zotero is free, but it works like most cloud-based products where once you hit a certain storage limit, you do run into cost. So it's free up to 300 megabytes worth of storage. And then if you wanted to upgrade to 2 gigs or 6 gigs or unlimited, it does have a cost per year. So $120 a year is a pretty low amount per month. So that's something to know about. I do like to give the caveat that I have used a free account for years, and I'm not even close to hitting my storage limit. I'm only at about 50% right now. So don't worry about thinking you have to pay immediately. If you're just using it to store few references, 10 to 15 references here and there, or you're working on a PhD or something like that, a free account should really get you far. But if you were to want to upgrade, it's a pretty low cost. So group libraries, like I said, you can share your own work, you can collaborate with others. And in terms of how that factors into storage, whoever starts the group is whose storage it counts against. So if you just join a group and like your colleague is saving resources and they own the group, then they would be the ones whose storage it would count against. But again, I'm happy to talk about this all more specifically. Obviously, we're all just probably here to get an introduction to Zotero. I see Keisha's hands raised, so feel free to unmute or put it in the chat what your question is.
So how do you know how much storage you have used? Where do you go?
Excellent. Yes, so that will be on the Zotero website, and I can show that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I pulled that from my own account. Yes, I can show you.
Yeah, I was looking on the app. I was like, I don't see it.
Yes, yeah, it's all through the app, and if you have a login, you log in to zotero.org and you can see it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you. So like I said, the majority of this workshop is going to be a demo. So I'll, again, go to zotero.org, show you how to get started, and then we'll do these things I have on the screen. We're going to build a library, maybe edit some sources, build a simple bibliography, just export a simple works cited bibliography based on what we've saved. Then I'll also demonstrate how it works within Word. So as you're writing, how you can build citations, and then some basic settings that you can modify. So I will close out my slideshow and put on my other screen. So here is Zotero.org. And sorry, my screen will be kind of funny because WebEx is like blocking the top half of my screen. So that's why I have my screen a little minimized. Hopefully things are still clear for you to see though. So here is Zotero.org. This is kind of where you get started for everything. Like Keisha, your question, if you have an account with Zotero, you log in right here. And mine is stored right here. And it's somewhere under, I think, settings. An account, maybe it's under there. I don't want to get too in the weeds with that. I just want to go back to the website,
Oh,
but I'll show
it
you.
was
I'll
under
show you the.
there, under storage. Yeah, I found
Oh,
it.
excellent, excellent, awesome. So on Zotero.org, just to get started to begin with, you can download it. So obviously this big download button in the middle. And Zotero's download process, this part trips people up a lot. So I want to be kind of clear about what happens. So when you download Zotero, there are two steps to downloading it. First, there's downloading the program itself, and it's sensing what kind of computer you're on. So if I was on a Mac, it would say Zotero 6 for Mac, but obviously I'm on a Windows computer, so it's saying for Windows. So I would download this program. And what that does is it installs this, sorry, I'm trying to drag things over. It installs a program that looks like this. And this is my Zotero library, a program on my computer that I can get to using my start menu and things like that. But the second crucial step to getting started with Zotero is to have the connector installed. So whatever browser you're using, if you are a heavy Chrome user, a heavy Firefox user, download the connector to the browser that you use the most. And it works with most major browsers. I'm in Chrome, but you'll see that it does have Firefox, Edge, and it also works with Safari. It's just implemented a little differently within Safari. So if you're a Safari user, you would enable it from the extensions pane rather than as the button. So again, I don't have Safari, so I can't recreate it, but it does work with all of these major browsers. So once you download the program, you then have the second step of installing the button. So I'll have people often come to me saying, okay, I have the program, and now how do I start saving sources? Saving sources is the connector part, and it's this button at the top right here. That's very tiny. It's a little square right here. If you're in Chrome, a lot of times you have to enable the extensions manually, so I can walk you through that, but it may not show up automatically, so you just have to enable it under your extension tab right here. And then automatically, doesn't make any sense. Automatically when you download Zotero as part of the program, it'll also download to your Word program as well. So just downloading this first part should also enable it within your Word program should you have that downloaded onto your computer. So there's kind of 3 steps to make sure of before you start downloading things. You want to make sure it's downloaded to your computer as a program, to your browser, and also showing up within Word. And sometimes those things require you to like close everything completely and then reopen them. So there's kind of some restarting and things that might have to happen for everything to kind of get going. I always give the caveat that that's actually the hardest part of using Zotero because everything else is really self-explanatory, but getting it set up and configured to your computer can be a little bit of a challenge just based on your computer settings and things like that. But I don't mean to throw anybody off. It's really not that hard. I'm just saying that tends to be the thing that gets people the most tripped up initially. So I'll go ahead and show how it starts working. So I'm going to start off with the library website first, but Zotero being a browser connector, it can look at anything on the web and you can save it into your library. So I have YouTube and I have other news sources kind of open on my computer that I can also save just because it's a browser button. I don't have to be on the library website to save resources. So I like to look up about articles about college students and stress. All of us are stressed out here, so let's look up some articles about it. So I'm just on the library website. This is the main Discover search. And you'll see, if you've been looking at my Zotero button, the button has actually changed because it's sensing a certain kind of content that I'm viewing. I typed in a search and I'm looking at search results. So Zotero's browser connector has now changed into a folder. And what it's going to do is allow me to save any of the search results into my library right now. So I could actually select all or not. I'll just click the first three. And you'll see a button, pop-up will come up saying saving to demo. And you'll see in my Zotero program under my demo folder, I have now those 3 articles saved. The reason using library websites is good is because they provide a lot of metadata. So you'll really see how all the information about that source is broken out. You'll see the title, you'll see the author's names fully broken out, the publication, the volume. And these are the elements they're going to use later to build a bibliography later. So the more content a website has, the better it'll be at citing later. And you'll see everything. At any time, I could change these things. Let's say the article title came in all caps, or there's like a strange thing that popped up. Any of these fields you can edit at one time, but you don't have to do that immediately if you don't want to. It literally works like that for anything I'm viewing. So here I'm going to be on YouTube. I looked up college student stress, and here's a PBS news story about mental health services in college students. You'll notice my icon has now changed. It's looking like a little video webcam kind of icon because it's sensing video. So I'll click that and save it to my folder as well. Here's just a random Medium article I found about ChatGPT. Again, just on the web. I'm not connected to the library website. I'm just out here on the web saving sources, and I can save that into my Zotero library as well. So the browser button is really as simple as that. I can just look at something on the web and save it into my library. And you'll notice when I imported the YouTube video, it's sensing that it was a video recording, so that'll help with the citing later. This is just a web page I was looking at, so I could, it imports that content accordingly. Sometimes students ask, what if I'm viewing something through iCollege or something like that? It's better to go to the source from the library website or something, just because that might be better metadata wise, but there's nothing stopping you from just opening the source within iCollege and saving that. It just may not import as much metadata as it would if you were accessing it through another way. But we can talk more about that if any of you have questions about that part of it. So any questions about just looking at sources on the web and saving them? It's really a matter of just clicking that button in your browser and then saving the sources. Now I'll show a few different things that you can do from here. If I were to just want to build a simple bibliography based on what I'm looking at right now, I could literally just click on all the sources that I have saved, right click, and do create bibliography from item. Let's say I was writing an annotated bibliography for class, and I needed to have a works cited in MLA format, and I needed to write an annotation for each of these sources. So I could just do, and this trips people up too, modern MLA is short for Modern Language Association. So I would click on this citation style. It's up to the 9th edition now, and I would copy it to clipboard. And then I could just paste it in my Word document as a fully formatted bibliography. And then if I had to write the annotation from there, I could just type in my annotations from there. So that's a quick look at building a simple bibliography based on a library that I've imported from Zotero. Now, I just want to show a few more features just within. I'll talk about the in-text citation part in a second, but I'll talk now just to show you how powerful it is. That I just wanted to show that really quickly. And now I'll talk a little bit more about working within your Zotero library. So if I knew of a source that was not on the web, I just knew the title of the book and things like that, you can manually add things to your library. If you knew the ISBN number for a book, but you didn't know how to get to it on the web to save it into the library, you could do that. I have an ISBN number pulled up over here. These are just some extra little features that are kind of fun to know about as you're building your library. So I just copied and pasted an ISBN number for a book that I knew about. You're like, I know about this book, but I don't know where to go on the web to save it. You could look up things like that. If you knew the DOI of an article, you could also do that and just manually put it into your library. I'm trying to look through some of these other sources. Oh yeah, another thing I like to mention is, let's say you had a folder of PDFs on your computer. Sometimes when you're saving articles and you just save them to your hard drive, I have this sample folder of PDFs that I have for this workshop. So I could just literally highlight all the PDFs that I have saved to my hard drive and actually import them into Zotero as well. So I just dragged and dropped PDFs directly into Zotero. I didn't have to go on the web at all to search for them. I just uploaded them that way. And you'll see it's breaking out all the metadata for those sources as well. So there's a few different ways to build your library. You don't always have to be on the web. You can import things manually as well. Are there any questions about that part of it? They also have some extra features like notes and tags and things. This is really just a matter of personal preference, how you like to work. You know, let's say you're writing a PhD dissertation and you're having to do a lot of like personal note taking on each item. You can add notes to each of these things. And if you were to add a note, it would actually add it below the source itself. So this is a great article to put in introduction. Let's just pretend that's what you're wanting to say to yourself. So you'd have that little note to yourself with each source, you know, based on how you like to work. If you can put tags, so those are just quick little tags like COVID. You could put I see, or that's not. We could do VR as a tag or something like that. I see it's a virtual reference article. So there's little notes and tags that you can do. One tag that I have done in the past is one called cited. So if I'm writing a paper and I know I've already cited something, I can add a tag that says cited to it and that kind of thing. So there's little ways you can kind of organize your library. You can also add colors to tags. So, you know, if you wanted to assign it a color, then you would see that color is actually next to the item. So lots of little like interesting organization tools and tricks that you can do within Zotero as well. I won't show a lot about how to do that, but there are ways to kind of assign colors and organize your sources based on how you're working. Okay, so that's within Zotero. Now we can go back into Word and show how to cite while you write. So now I'm in Word, I'm writing my essay. I've gotten all my sources together in Zotero, and I want to start doing now in-text citations. So there's a menu here called First Zotero, and then you can add edit citation, and it pops up on my second screen, so I have to drag it over. It'll first ask you what style would you like to cite in. So we'll do APA for fun now. We did MLA before, now we can do APA. And we can click OK. So what will come up is a red search bar. And what this is saying is you can search for anything that's in your Zotero library and we'll cite it in text. So I know I saved some articles on college students. And again, you know, this is just my entire library coming up because I did a keyword search. And I'll just select one of the sources and then I'll press enter. And now it'll do an in-text citation for me. If I keep writing, I want a second sentence and I want to cite somebody. I know there were some articles about stress, so I can put that as an in-text citation. So as I type so on and so forth, it'll add these in-text citations for me. Now, as I'm finished writing the essay and I want to just pop out the bibliography for everything that I've done an in-text citation for, I can just click add edit bibliography, and everything I've provided an in-text for will have now a bibliographic entry for my reference list. So as I keep typing, third sentence. I write better than this, I promise, in real life. So if you want to do a third citation, let's see. I'm trying to see what I actually saved here. More stress. I can just press enter. And you'll notice now, even though this was an A, this was an A name author, it actually knew to automatically alphabetically put that at the top of the list. So it's automatically alphabetizing your citations as well, which is really helpful. There are some advanced features you could do as well. So let's say you have done a quote and you want to provide a page number in your in-text citation. You could do that. So I'll select something that I want to cite, and then I'll actually click within the name. And I can say, okay, I got that quote from page 23. And it'll automatically add that page number to my in-text citation as well. Another feature that I recently found out about, which is really interesting, is as I'm citing, let's say I have mentioned Eastman's name in my sentence already, so I don't want to put Eastman in in-text citation. You can actually click omit author from that same menu, and then it would just do the year for that particular in-text. So there's a lot of different ways you can actually just depending on what you're writing about, whether you're mentioning the name of the author in the sentence or you have to have a page number, Zotero can do some of those advanced features and kind of, help you do that without having to like manually change the whole citation. What I do like to talk about a little bit is Zotero is not perfect. It will make mistakes. It's just as good as the data that's coming into it. So because, if a website doesn't have great metadata on it, or let's say I noticed that PBS article, PBS video doesn't have an author's name tied to it, and that's okay. But if you go back to the website and see that maybe there was an author's name mentioned or something like that, you can edit these fields to be more accurate. So I was trying to see if there was another one with an author name missing. So if you decide that you need to change something. Let's say this was actually directed by somebody named Jane Smith and you don't want to attribute it to PBS. You go back to the website, you see that they actually have an author's name listed. You can change that, and then you can actually refresh it within your bibliography. And you should see, well, it didn't actually change at that time, did it? More stress, less stigma. Oh no, I changed the wrong one. Let's try, sorry. PBS, college student stress levels are bubbling over. Oh, that's another source I had in my, let's, sorry, in my example, I didn't show the right one. More stress. So, okay, I've done it Jane Smith now. So I've added Jane Smith here now, but if this had been PBS before, me changing it to Jane Smith here and then clicking refresh would have changed her name in my citation list as well. So you can kind of go back and forth between the two, where if you change something here, you can refresh it within your Word document there. You'll notice here the article title is actually in all caps. And I don't know of any citation style that would allow you to cite something in all caps. Maybe I'm wrong, but there probably isn't one. So if you needed to, let's say it had imported into here in all caps, you could actually go over here and change the capitalizations if you needed to. And had I needed to refresh it, I would have just refreshed it here and it would have changed the capitalization. Zotero's gotten better about that part of it, though. There used to be a lot more issues with capitalizing, but they have fixed a lot of that with the latest updates in Zotero. So I know that was like a lot to like go over, especially if you're brand new to Zotero. So are there any questions or anything I can show again based on what I've talked about? So there's a few different things I've showed. First, I showed how to just build a works cited by itself. So you don't have to do the in-text part. If you just want to right click, create bibliography, pick your default style, copy to clipboard, you could just start a new document up here and then paste. So if you're just needing to build a simple bibliography, you can do that. If you are writing an essay that requires you to do in-text and citation and works cited at the same time, then you do the menu within Zotero where you add edit citation and add edit bibliography. So any questions about the two ways that I've shown so far?
No, good so far.
Yeah, like I said, getting it set up on your computer is the hardest part. Once you figure out how to use it, it's pretty self-explanatory and makes a lot of sense, especially the more you use it. Okay, so now if there are not any questions, oh, thanks, Susan. Yes, it's wonderful. Yeah, especially if you're, yeah, I think you're in graduate school, right? If you're embarking on any kind of like thesis or, yeah, major, uh, graduate work or writing a big essay or something like that, I can't emphasize enough how helpful it is. And I forgot to mention the best part, speaking of which. So let me delete this bibliography I built earlier. The best part of Zotero, well, not the best, but one of the great features of Zotero is as you've written your paper, I have actually done all of this, I think was an APA style, right? If I needed to change my citation style, I could actually just do that with one click. So I've been doing APA, and then you find out from your professor you actually have to be writing it in MLA or vice versa. So you could literally just open up document preferences and select a different style, and it would automatically update your entire document in MLA. This was very helpful to me recently when I was trying to publish a journal article, and it got rejected from one journal, but then we submitted it to a new journal, and that had a totally different citation style. We could actually just change a lot of it with one click because we had built the bibliography using Zotero. So this can come in handy also, though, in school writing papers. I'm seeing there's a no printed form. I wonder what that is. There's something funny going on with one of my citations, so I'll have to look at what that is. I always say Zotero gets you like 95% of the way there, but there's still some quality control that needs to be done, you know, as you're typing based on what you've saved. It's definitely a handy tool to help you, though. All right, so I'm trying to look at my notes, make sure I didn't forget anything about changing styles, tags, word plugin, page number, omitting author. We talked about that. Everything within Zotero works the same way within Google Docs. I know a lot of students at Georgia State use Google Docs to type their papers, so you don't have to have Word. Everything within Google Docs is actually just under its own menu here. So you'll see those same menu features right here: add, edit citation, add, edit bibliography, and document preferences. Those are all right here within Google Docs as well. So I won't show how to redo everything, but the same menu options exist within Google Docs as well. Okay, so now I'm back to my Zotero program. There's a few things I wanted to point out. So under edit and preferences, there are some fun things to know about under here. If you were wanting to save your storage, so I know we talked a little bit about storage in the beginning. If you didn't want the PDFs to come in while you're saving your sources, just to save on storage, you can turn that feature off, and that could save you some storage should you want to have a lot of sources in there. If you wanted to sync your account, so I said Zotero works across multiple devices, that's only if you create an account with Zotero. So I have an account here that's Escathoria1, and I would sync, so then any computer I was using with Zotero, I would log in with this account that I've created and sync, and everything that I have saved into this account would then sync accordingly. If any of you are Dropbox users or OneDrive users, it works similarly. Once you log in with that account, everything tied to that account would sync up, right? Search, I don't really use a lot. Export, I don't really use a lot. Cite is an interesting one. So you can kind of edit what your default styles that show up. You can edit any of these. Let's say I never use American Chemical Society. I could delete that from my default view if I needed to. I'm not a physical anthropologist. I could delete that kind of thing. This link right here, get additional styles, here is where it would open up those 10,000 citation styles I was talking about. So if any of you are, you know, intensive scientists or working in biology or working in specific fields that have very particular citation styles, maybe there's a specific journal style that your discipline cites in, ACS, things like that, you can look up all the citation styles they have here. So I think I just did American Chemical, but so it would show you, let's say I wanted to find the American Chemical Society citation style. I just search for that. And then it would show you the last time it was updated. So let's say this one, you knew they came out with a new citation style in 2023, this year, and you see that it was last updated in 2018. That may not be the most current edition, but you can still add it. You can see this one's pretty current. This was updated as of November 2022. And you can actually hover over it to see what it would look like. Sorry, I know it's a little funny to look at. But then you could just click it with one little click and it would automatically get put back in your library. So get additional styles if you have really specific styles that you need to cite in besides MLA, APA, things like that. You can click get additional styles. Next to styles is the word processor feature. A lot of times when people are starting to or getting started with Zotero, and they don't see it in their Word program, the first place I go is to this edit preferences and then cite and then word processors, and then I would reinstall the Word add-in, close out Word, reinstall it, and that often will fix the problem, maybe it not being in your Word program when you first get it started. And then I don't really use advanced a whole lot either. But those are the main things. The syncing feature is really helpful, and the cite button can be kind of helpful for certain things. Okay. So to get your login started for Zotero, you would basically just go back to zotero.org, and I'm already logged in, so my account's right here. You can look at different features, your web library, everything that you have saved in your library is actually synced to the web account as well. So if you're ever in a hurry and you didn't have time to download the program itself, you can access all your citations from the web. Trying to see if there's anything else I should be talking about here. I don't really think so. There's just different settings and things you can play around with. Account, profile, things like that. But that was essentially all I was going to show today. The forums can be very helpful if you have any kind of advanced questions that maybe I can't help with or anything like that. Sometimes they can be helped on the forums. So if you're trying to like get some answers about a common problem and things like that, the forums can be helpful. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I should be talking about here. Not really. But the Zotero.org is where you would go to create that login if you needed one. Okay, so let me go ahead and provide y'all some links and things if y'all didn't have any questions for me to show. Khadija, I see your question. Are there any resources related to Zotero and systematic reviews? I'm sure there are. I actually, my previous position, helped a research group with Zotero and do a systematic review. But yes, you can definitely use Zotero to build your sources while you save things, and then build a in-text and bibliography from there. I don't know if there's anything more advanced specifically about the systematic review that you would need Zotero for besides just using it as a database to save the sources you do while you're searching, and then building your works cited and bibliography from there. But yeah, it can be a very, very handy tool for systematic reviews, absolutely. I can, if I find anything specific though, I can follow up with you. If you registered for the workshop, I can find your email.
Great, thank you.
No problem. What department are you in?
I'm in the School of Public Health.
Public health, perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, let me see if I can find anything specific. And I know the downtown, I said I'm based at Perimeter, but I know the downtown campus is offering some systematic review workshops. So I might follow up with them and see if they have anything on Zotero in that as well. Awesome. Okay, so thanks for the question. That was great. Let me drop y'all some links. So my colleague, Jason Puckett, is wonderful. He's a librarian at the downtown campus. He has a research guide on Zotero, including some recorded workshops and things that he's done. He's literally written the book on Zotero. He is a very excellent Zotero resource. So his research guide is really fantastic when it comes to getting help with Zotero. And then if any of y'all are here for extra credit for a class or anything like that, I have a link here called GSU Lib Certificate. So I can provide you a certificate for attending today. And if any of you would like to book me for a research appointment or any kind of follow-up help, like maybe one-on-one, I'm dropping my link to book an appointment with me so we can either meet in person or online, and we can talk specifically about any problems that you may have with configuring Zotero to your computer. I'm based in Alpharetta, but we do have colleagues at different campuses. If you're closer to another campus, if you need more help and kind of want to come and talk to somebody in person, I can get you in touch with the right person if you don't want to trek up here to Alpharetta. But that's essentially all I had to show. I'm happy to hang out for a few minutes if you have some one-on-one questions you'd like to ask me about Zotero. But that's essentially all I had to show today. So feel free to log on out if you are good to go, or stick around and ask me some questions. Thank you all so much for coming.
Yay,
Have a
questions.
wonderful day. Sorry?
I said, yay, question time.
Yes, ask me some questions. It seems like you're already using it hardcore, Keisha.
Kind of, sort of, but. So thank you for showing me how to change the cases. I've been
Yes.
manually retyping